Ollie. Boy, oh boy. By the way, Ollie got us that Charlie Angus saying you should support the Bin podcast. So thanks, Ollie. American politicians wouldn't do that. So let's talk about the government shutdown. So midnight last night, or this morning, or however you want to put it, Eastern Standard Time, because Washington D.C. is on my time. The government shut down because the Democrats and the Republicans could not agree on. Oh, the audio is off. Is my audio off? Can you hear me? Maybe I accidentally turned off Charlie Angus's audio. Hold on 1 second. We'll play Charlie Angus again.
It's Charlie Angus here from Canada, the Resistance Tour, and I've been Podcast Network. You gotta watch, sign up, follow.
Okay. So, the government shut down, and now we have a problem. Cool. People can hear me. And I'm gonna play a little clip here. Let's see.
Just a few hours.
Well, this is from last night. Chris Hayes talked about the government shutdown.
Just a few hours at midnight, the federal government is expected to shut down. It'll be the first government shutdown since the last time Donald Trump was president. A new poll by NPR, PBS, and Marist shows that if the government does shut down tonight, which we fully expect, Americans would blame Republicans more than Democrats, with 38% of respondents blaming Republicans, 27% blaming Democrats, and 31% blaming both parties. Meanwhile, the president today said from the Oval Office that Democrats are to blame, warned that he would use a shutdown to his political advantage.
A lot of good can come down from shutdowns. We can get rid of a lot of things that we didn't want, and they'd be...
By things Trump didn't want, he means federal employees.
Democrat things.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a Democrat in New York. She's executive board member of the Congressional
Future President
Caucus,
AOC.
and she joins me now. Congresswoman, it does look like we are headed towards a shutdown. What do you see as the Democratic strategy and message here for a government funding bill?
I mean, Chris, we're here to help people. We are here in the midst of this destruction of the federal government, the federal safety net, $1 trillion eviscerated from people's health care, their Medicare, their Medicaid in this country, with prices that are skyrocketing and life becoming completely untenable for the American people. We are here to try to be a backstop and to be that backstop, which is what the American people have elected us to do.
So right now, there's this sort of back and forth about the ACA tax credits. And there's kind of a strange dynamic that I want to get your sense.
So in case anyone didn't notice before or realize or understand, back when the Republicans were passing their triple B, the big, beautiful, whatever, $1 trillion, that's not real money. That's true. They passed a new budget, but they didn't do it through regular order. So what they did was they did reconciliation. They just changed the line items on the last budget that was passed. They changed the numbers around, but they didn't actually agree to fund the government. I think the last time they agreed to fund the government was in the spring, and they funded it through the end of September. And they were supposed to have another continuing resolution to fund it through the end of the year, or whatever the new deal was. Now that it has become time to fund the government, and they had the entire summer, nobody can come to an agreement. The Republicans wanted to cut funding to the Affordable Care Act, which would make everyone's health insurance go up. And they wanted to reduce funding for a whole host of other things in this continuing resolution. The original agreement was to have what they call a clean CR, where nothing would change. They would just continue to fund the government at current levels until the next time they have to make this debate/argument. The Republicans sort of changed that. They don't want a clean CR anymore. They want to cut funding. They want to put more into the military. They want to do all these ridiculous things. The Democrats said that's not what we agreed to. So they're at this impasse now. Now, the House of Representatives, where AOC is from, passed the continuing resolution that the Republicans want, because all they needed was a simple majority. And I think that's what they got. I think the Republicans won by like 2 votes. Now it's up to the Senate, where they have to have a 60 vote majority out of 100, because it's not filibuster proof. You can filibuster these continuing resolutions. So the Democrats have. And I think they tried to pass something and only 3 Democrats crossed over, and they needed at least 5. So they're at an impasse. And now our government is shut down today, which means that government services don't work right now. And the only government employees who are working need to work, like TSA agents. So it's a bit of a problem. It's a bit of, yeah, and this bullshit, Chrissy, me and Mikey and I talked about this last week on the show. The House of Representatives is barely fucking there. Barely fucking there. They work like 100 days out of the year. This is a 365-day calendar. They're working a third of the time. The Senate is only barely better. At least the Senate showed up this week. But they did cancel all the votes in the House. And the Democrats showed up. I don't know where I've seen a picture of the Democrats in the House, and there's no Republicans because they canceled all the votes. Phil was a buster. But yeah, that's where we are. The Senate Republicans and the Senate Democrats are at an impasse. And even if they passed a version of this continuing resolution that the House didn't pass, that means the House would have to come back into session so that they could pass the same continuing resolution. So no matter what, the government's going to be shut down for at least a week, unless the Democrats somehow agree to pass the CR that the Republicans want, which they're not going to. What reason do they have to do that? So we're at least going to have 1 week of no government. I hope the government turns back on by the time I have to fly out of here, because I wouldn't want to wait in like impossibly long lines at the airport, because the TSA is on reduced services, but they still have to go to work. Yes, it is also because they don't want to seat the new Democrat that won a special election, and which is once again breaking norms for the Speaker of the House. And the Republicans really don't care either. It's the last time there was a government shutdown, Trump was president still. So that was what, 6 years ago. He's got a good record of government shutdowns, 2 for 2.
Sense of, right? Because at one level, negotiating over the ACA tax credits is important. I mean, there are people who are going to see their premiums go up 15, 20%, like huge amounts are going to spike. Republicans don't like these extenders. Democrats do. They think it's good for people. But that's fully in the lane of like normal politics.
Oh.
And then at the same time, like the president of the United States assembled 800 military commanders to say, I want you're going to have to go to war against your fellow citizens in American cities. And I think people are having a little bit of a hard time of like, we're going to have a fight on the shutdown about the tax credits, but not about the president wants to declare war on Americans, even though I understand those.
On one hand, those who are negotiating,
we're going to go into the press conference here.
We just want to make sure that we're able to have a conversation with the administration about some of the critical needs that we see that need to get fixed over the next few months.
Let's go back a few minutes.
Look, I haven't talked to Russ about this morning, but look, I'm sure that Russ is heartbroken about the fact that he's unable to give.
If all the rules are thrown out, if they get fined, are there no legal consequences for them? No jail, no time, no jail time, no firings. Yeah, no, they can. The House and the Senate make up their own rules, and they have different rules. And I think, it doesn't matter if they break them. It doesn't matter to them. The Republicans have shown no regard for any of the rules, especially Speaker Johnson, who didn't seat that Democrat who won the special election, because they would be a deciding vote in the releasing the Epstein files through a what is it called? The minority has brought up something so that the speaker has to bring it to the floor, and that person would be the deciding vote. So this is all a big political game that honestly both sides are playing, and neither side is going to look good on the other side of. The Republicans are going to look worse because they're in control of government, and their inability to lead is ridiculous, and their inability to compromise is even more ridiculous. But the Democrats shouldn't be in this position. They fucked up the first time. Senator Schumer fucked up the first time when he didn't hold his ground on a government shutdown vote on the other continuing resolution when he could have. So this is their next pressure point, their next point of we have advantage here, but it's not a great advantage.
We want to do everything that we can to help the American people. But when the Democrats shut down the government, we have to actually do a little triage to make sure the most critical and most essential services are provided. The government does a lot of things. Of course, Republicans think that the federal government probably does too much, but there are a lot of critical things the federal government does that absolutely all of us would agree need to do. Our troops need to get paid. Our air traffic controllers need to make sure that people are flying.
Oh, that's the other thing. Air traffic controllers. Trump, one of Trump's favorite things to shit on. They have to go to work and not get paid.
Flying safely and on time. We need low-income people to be able to access the food services that are provided by the federal government. There are critical things that need to be saved. We're going to do everything that we can over the coming weeks, if the shutdown lasts that long, to ensure that people get the essential services that they need, despite the fact that Chuck Schumer has shut down the federal government. It's not going to be perfect because we are in a government shutdown. We are going to have to lay some people off if the shutdown continues.
They don't have to lay anyone off. They can furlough workers and then call them back. They're going to lay off people because they want to. This is the next Project 2025, we got them, we're going to fire all these workers thing that Trump and Vaught and Stephen Miller all want. They were waiting for a government shutdown so they could fire these people.
We don't like that. We don't necessarily want to do it, but we're going to do what we have to keep the American people's essential services continuing to run. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, and thank you for being here. Yesterday, President Trump said, as a result of the shutdown, we'll be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected. And the Democrats, they are going to be Democrats. Has the administration asked agencies to target federal workers who they believe to be Democrats in these reductions of forces?
We're not targeting federal agencies based on politics.
Hi,
we're
Ollie.
targeting
Have
the
fun at
people's
work.
government so that as much as possible of the essential services can
I don't have a
continue to
button for
function.
Ollie,
That is the
but,
question the president has asked the
hold on.
entire government is fundamentally, okay, we're in a shutdown. That causes some
There we
problems.
go.
The troops aren't getting paid. There's nothing that we can do about that while the government is shut down. But there are essential services that we want to make sure as much as possible they still continue to function. That is the principle that's driving us forward during the shutdown. It's going to continue to be the principle that drives us forward. But let's be honest, if this thing drags on for another few days or God forbid another few weeks, we are going to have to lay people off. We're going to have to save money in some places so the essential service.
They're not going to have to lay anyone off. It's not about laying people off. You furlough the workers. You tell them, hey, go home until the government turns back on. You lay those people off, you're not going to get them back. It's ridiculous. But wouldn't laying off federal workers cost more in the long run? Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Don't get turned off in other places. That is the reality of the government shutdown that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have foisted upon the administration.
So what did he mean by they're going to be Democrats? He said they're going to be Democrats.
You've laid out a lot of the pain and problems that would come with a Democratic shutdown, and yet in the Oval Office yesterday, the president said that a lot of good could come from a shutdown. So square that circle.
Also, fucking, why is JD Vance here? Why is JD Vance speaking? He's the vice president. He doesn't have any responsibilities. Is Trump not well enough? Is Caroline Leavitt not good enough? What happened here? Why is JD Vance speaking?
Is it a Democratic-caused crisis or a Republican opportunity for reform?
Well, I think all the president is saying, Phil, is that he wants to make sure the American people's government functions as well as it can, despite the fact that we're in a shutdown. We're going to have to make things work. And that means that we're going to have to triage some certain things. That means certain people are going to have to get laid off. And we're going to try to make sure that the American people suffer as little as possible from the shutdown. That's what the president is saying.
But the people you're laying off are the American people. See, that's what I don't get. They don't seem to understand this. And then they're like, oh, why is unemployment going up? Why are jobless claims going up? Because you're firing all the... Trump is probably on the golf course, yeah. You're firing all the people. The federal government is the biggest employer in the country. The federal government employs the most people of any corporation or anything. So you're firing all these people, and then they have to go look for jobs somewhere. You are hurting the American people by firing the American people. It's ridiculous. He was the only one that had his makeup on for TV. That's funny. His couch is being cleaned.
Yes, this is a bad thing. Obviously, the president is trying to reopen the government, but we're going to make things work as well as we possibly can, given the constraints that we have.
And all those policy differences for the discussion and the negotiations to come later. During the Biden administration, Democrats twice voted to expand these Affordable Care Act tax credits, but those were supposed to be temporary, and they were slated to expire at the end of the year.
The public sector is the largest employer in
sort of crack
government
the door
in
open
a lot of
to
modern countries.
negotiation at a later date, would the party that ran on defunding Obamacare really negotiate about potentially expanding Obamacare?
Well, Phil, what we've said to the Democrats is that we're willing to have a conversation about how to ensure that Americans continue to have access to health care. And frankly, they should have access to better health care at a lower cost. We inherited a mess of a healthcare system from the Biden administration. It's why the president has worked so hard on the most favored nation status for prescription drugs. It's why we care so much about lowering the cost of prescriptions, and why we're doing everything else. We're willing to have that conversation. But
by the way, I'm pretty sure the lowered cost on prescriptions from Pfizer is only through this Trump RX website. You can't, I don't think you're going to be able to get this through like insurance companies or like your local pharmacy. I think you're only going to get these discounts if you go to Trump's website, which is probably enriching him more. If this was any other administration in the history of this country, Trump would be in jail right now. He would not be president. He would have been thrown out of the White House. He would have been, if the system worked correctly, he would have been impeached and imprisoned for so many crimes. At this point, he is a criminal who has been unprosecuted for so many crimes laid out in the Constitution. He's violated the Emoluments Clause so many times. And now he's violated people's First Amendment rights. He's violated their Fifth Amendment rights. He's violated their Fourth Amendment rights. And probably the Sixth Amendment too. And the 14th Amendment. Like, there's so many crimes he's committed as president at this point that this is ridiculous. And Vance over here, he's part of that club. Yeah, Trump RX is a fucking joke. The medicine will be Trump branded. Yeah, probably. Yeah, he's supposed to be in jail right now for crimes he didn't commit as president, for just crimes he's committed before and or after being president the first time. What's up, Cortez? Cortez, we got to get together and, like, I don't know, maybe do a wrestling show or something. I miss talking about wrestling with people.
But I think it's important to bracket the healthcare policy conversation because it's separate from the government shutdown. We think that we can open the government and then have the conversation about what best healthcare policy to fit the needs of the American people. That's all we're trying to do. That's all we're trying to accomplish. We've got to reopen the government first. Now, Caroline, I don't know how you do this, how you actually choose people, because I don't know 90% of the names in here. Is it just who's the best?
Oh, wait, what is he going to say?
How you actually choose people? Because I don't know 90% of the names in here. Is it just who's the best dressed? Okay, I really like your shirt. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
He doesn't know how to act like a human being in public situations. It's like they programmed a robot to be as awkward as possible. How do you choose people? I don't know. Is it the best dressed? Shut the fuck up, bro. Just call on someone when they raise their hand. That's how it works. You don't have to be a weird creep about it. Saying, "Oh, I like your shirt the best. I'm going to pick you."
You are president of the Senate. Can you talk about what you're doing, what the administration is doing to try to get other Senate Democrats to vote to open the government?
Yeah, we're talking to a number of our colleagues, Democratic and Republican, in the Senate. I talked to a number of them last night. The president, of course, is talking to them as well. I think there really are two categories of demands that I've seen privately from congressional Democrats. I think on the one hand, those who are negotiating in good faith are saying,
Yeah,
look,
he thinks
we
he's
just want to
funny.
make sure
He's
that
just
we're able
coming
to
off
have
as
a
fucking
conversation with the
creepy.
administration about some of the critical needs that we see that need to get fixed over the next few months. We recognize it's kind of absurd, and a lot of them will admit in private that it's kind of absurd to shut down the people's government over these disagreements, but just agree
He's
to
absurd.
negotiate with us in good faith.
JD Vance is absurd. Look at him. Look at the fucking eyeliner. He's absurd.
On these issues, and of course we're having that conversation with them. Then there's
Mandroid.
another category, people who say, give us everything we want or we're going to keep the government shut down. We just write those people off because they're not negotiating in good faith, and frankly we don't need them. We've already got
The Republicans are not negotiating in good faith. Come on.
3 more Democrats last night than I thought we would get, and I think it's because they recognize
One of those was fucking John Fetterman, so Democrat in name only. He's a dino.
the illogic of the position of taking the entire American economy hostage because they don't get their policy priorities. So 3 moderate Democrats joined 52 Republicans last night. We need 5 more in order to reopen the government. And that's really where we're going to focus, is how to get those 5 additional Democrats.
Thanks, Mr. Vice President. First 2 questions. Are there plans to meet Democratic leaders again in the coming days, or are you planning on plucking off senators one by one?
So that's the whole question?
No, I got a second question.
Okay, go ahead and ask the second question.
So the president's
I don't want to answer the first question. Just ask the second question.
been posting some images of Leader Jeffries and Senator Schumer
I saw
recently. You've said that you're interested in good faith negotiations with these leaders, but what message does that send? Is it helpful to post pictures of Leader Jeffries in a sombrero if you're trying to have good faith talks with him?
Oh, I think it's funny. The president's joking and we're having a good time. You can
Yes, it's hilarious to insult the people that you're trying to negotiate with. That's a good negotiating tactic, right? Post memes of the people you're negotiating with to make fun of them, and also a racist video that you came up with. Like, it's just a negotiating tactic. The president is being hilarious. What a fucking rube. How disingenuous. Wait, hold on. I got a button for that.
Purposefully disingenuous or even disingenuous.
Like, it's not funny. It's not fun to fucking insult the people you're negotiating with. They don't think it's fun. They're not going to negotiate with you if you're making fun of them. How is that a tactic that they think is going to work? Yeah, these people are so fucking unserious. JD Vance is the most unserious man on the face of this fucking planet. All right. This fucking guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's a one-term senator from Ohio who got elected vice president because Peter Thiel said so. And now he's off fucking taking vacations every month, living the high life. When he has to talk, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's such a fucking idiot. Also,
like, is he lying or is he stupid? Put in your votes now.
Negotiating good faith while also poking a little bit of fun at some of the absurdities of the
he's also
not respecting the not respecting the business.
Democrats' positions, and even poking some fun at the absurdity of the Democrats themselves. I mean, I'll tell Hakeem Jeffries right now, I make this solemn promise to you that if you help us reopen the government, the sombrero memes will stop. And I've talked to the president.
Wow. So, Leader Jeffries, if you help JD Vance here reopen the government, he'll stop the memes. I mean, how is that?
That's all. There are plenty of things that are bad and wrong, but it doesn't make them fascist.
Wrong button.
If you only knew how ridiculous that statement is, you wouldn't have said it.
Like, that's ridiculous.
President of the United States about that. Now, to your first question, are we negotiating one-on-one? Are we negotiating in groups? Look, I will go to the U.S. Capitol right now and meet with Chuck Schumer or any Senate Democrat if it helps us reopen the government. Most of the conversations, in my experience at least, have been one-off. We're also, of course, relying on some of our Senate Republican colleagues who have good relationships across the aisle. We're going to do whatever we have to do is the answer. And I think it's tough to predict what shape this negotiation is going to take over the next few months. But I feel good about the fact that Democrats already realize privately the fundamental irrationality of their position. I hope that they're going to publicly acknowledge it and reopen the government. Right in the back, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. You responded to a post on X of Chuck Schumer on the House floor back in 1996, railing against illegal immigrants receiving taxpayer-funded benefits. You said Chuck Schumer once recognized that it was disastrous to give illegal aliens rewards for breaking the law. Now he wants to shut down the government unless we reward illegal aliens for breaking the law. Why has Chuck Schumer changed his stance?
You know, that's a good question. Actually, it's a very tough question. Asking me to get in the head of Chuck Schumer is not a place I particularly want to be, but my basic read on it is that the entire Democratic Party, the political leadership, not every Democrat nationwide, but the political leadership of their party has got it into their heads that the only way to be compassionate is to be compassionate to illegal aliens rather than American citizens. If you go back to what Bill Clinton was saying, even Barack Obama in some cases, what he was saying about illegal immigration 10, 15, 20 years ago, you would put them on the MAGA right based purely on their rhetoric around illegal immigration.
Yeah,
So
that's not
I
true.
don't know why they've
Well,
gone so
whatever.
far to the left. I think it's bad for the country. I think it's bad for them politically. But our principle, all I can do is speak for the president that I serve and the country, the administration that I serve right now. We believe that the American people's government exists for the American people. That means the people who have the legal right to be here, and that's why we're fighting to reopen the government. And unfortunately, the Democrats are fighting to shut it down for the benefit of illegal aliens. And I'll take a couple more, and then I'll let Caroline.
Oh yes,
I'll go
please,
back to my day
Caroline
job. So
Levitt.
Caroline,
we
go
need
back to
her
hers. All right.
speak to us.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Just going back to the sombrero. You said that the president's joking, but Hakeem Jeffrey says that
Yes.
these memes were racist. What's your response to that? And just if I may briefly go off topic, Secretary Hegseth yesterday made an edict about no more beardos in the military. Just wondered what.
Sorry, what did he say?
No more beardos. Beards.
Yeah, shave you fucking. God, JD Vance does not look good baby faced. He does not look good baby faced. I mean, neither do I, but boy, he needs that beard to hold up his chin.
That's my accent. Just wanted your response to that.
I didn't see that particular comment. I thought Pete gave a hell of a speech.
Exactly.
A speech that
Asylum
really
seekers
is
are
just
human
oriented
beings.
around
They deserve
returning the
compassion.
American military to the very high standards that it has had for virtually its entire.
Hey, Mr. Vice President, you know, you're one heart attack away from president. Are you going to shave if you become president? Because that's what the Secretary of Defense wants.
History until Joe Biden came along and decided to lower standards. I think it was bad for
It wasn't Joe
military,
Biden. It was fucking
bad
Trump.
for our troops.
You rube.
When I was a young United States Marine, I did not have a beard. I am now the vice president, so I get to do what I want to do. But
wow. All right, that's a clip.
States Marine, I did not have a beard. I am now the vice president, so I get to do what I want to do. But I think he's trying to re-implement high standards, and that's a very good thing. On the sombrero thing, I mean, Hakeem Jeffrey said it was racist, and I know that he said that, and I honestly don't even know what that means. Like, is he a Mexican American that is offended by having a sombrero meme?
Oh my God, JD
I
Vance,
saw
you're
one
so
of the
fucking
major
thick.
TV stations put the meme up and then say this is AI generated, and he had like the curly animated mustache too. It's like, do you really not realize the American people
President Beardo. That's a great name. Tons of mice, you win.
Recognize that he did not actually come to the White House wearing a sombrero and a black curly animation mustache. Like, give the country a little bit of credit. We're all trying to do a very important job for the American people. The president.
But you're doing it the most unserious way possible. You're doing it like this.
Fettuccine, linguine, martini, bikini.
States likes to have a little bit of fun when he's doing it, and I think that's okay. I'll take
one
one
more
more
question. Have a little bit of fun while we're doing it.
In every previous shutdown,
This
workers
is
have been furloughed.
this is their brand of comedy.
It's a comedian saying unfunny things to an audience, and then a second audience watching that first audience not laugh and finding that funny.
That's what they're doing. And I love fitting that clip in somewhere.
Not laid off. So why does the president want to fire some workers and not just furlough them? Why is this shutdown any different?
Well, first of all, we haven't made any final decisions about what we're going to do with certain workers. What we're saying is that we might have to take extraordinary steps, especially the longer this goes on. We're going to have to take extraordinary measures to ensure that people's government operates.
He's
again, not
unserious.
perfectly, because it's not going to operate perfectly in the midst of a shutdown, but operate as well as it possibly can. And I think that the Democrats, if they're so worried about the effect this is having on the American people, and they should be. What they should do is reopen the government, not complain
Canned
about how we
laughter.
respond.
Yeah, they would
to the
do
fact
that. They
Chuck
would
Schumer
totally
and the
do. They'd
Democrats
pipe
have
and
shut down the
laughs.
government in the first place.
And the president
Thank you
yesterday
all.
also said
Caroline.
he's going to target some benefits, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you.
Oh,
See you
he's
guys.
done speaking. Thank God. We don't have to listen to him anymore. Woo! Fucking JD Vance is the worst. Anyway, I got that fun little clip of him saying, I'm vice president. I get to do whatever I want, which is not true. He's vice president and he can't do shit because he's vice president. He doesn't, his job is to wait for the president to no longer be president and break ties in the Senate. That's his only job. He has no authority or power whatsoever. He can come out and give a couple of speeches if he wants, but none of what he says fucking matters. Just like his job. It doesn't fucking matter. And he knows it doesn't matter because he's going on vacation every month. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go. And I'm gonna break this off of the Binner Table show itself and make it its own clip so people can enjoy it by itself. And yeah, like and subscribe. I said it at the top of the show, but if you have a moral opposition to YouTube because they settled with Trump, I get it. I understand. Do Patreon, do Twitch, become a subscriber on Twitch if you don't want to be a member on YouTube, or become a Patreon subscriber, patreon.com/the bin podcast, or twitch.tv/the bin podcast. Either way, we appreciate the support. And I know the chatbot, the Streamlabs chatbot, is always posting that stuff. So I'll be back tomorrow. I don't know what Mikey's doing, but I'll be back tomorrow for headliners and then unboxed. We'll do something if Mikey's still gone. But once again, happy birthday to Mrs. Famine. You are so important to Mikey Famine that he takes the day off from the show. God. Tons of mice. Send me your money and I'll be sure Mikey and Tim get it. Yeah, no, I had a fun time. I haven't done a solo stream in a while, so it was fun to hang out with you guys and chat. And I will see you all tomorrow. How do I end the show? Mike usually ends the show. Anyway, drink your meat.